What if everything you thought you knew about this relationship was completely wrong, and the moment she finally moved on changed everything forever? This story takes a shocking turn you did not see coming. And if you love deep dives into real stories like this, hit subscribe right now because you do not want to miss what happens next. For years, the story unfolded slowly, in a way that kept viewers both captivated and unsettled, because what appeared on the surface as a complex family dynamic gradually revealed something much deeper and more emotionally layered. And at the center of this long-running narrative stood Kody and Meri, a relationship that once symbolized unity and foundation, but over time began to show clear signs of distance and imbalance. And while the early days carried a sense of shared purpose and connection, the shift did not happen all at once. Instead, it crept in quietly, through small moments, through subtle changes in tone, through conversations that felt incomplete and interactions that lacked the warmth that once defined them. And as those moments accumulated, they created a pattern that became impossible to ignore. A pattern where effort seemed one-sided and where emotional presence appeared inconsistent, leaving viewers questioning not only what was happening behind the scenes, but also how long this dynamic had truly existed. And what made it even more compelling was the contrast between what was said publicly and what was visibly unfolding. Because while statements suggested acceptance of the situation, the emotional reality told a different story, one that hinted at unresolved tension and unspoken disappointment. And through it all, Meri remained in a position that seemed increasingly difficult to navigate, balancing her past commitment with a growing awareness that something fundamental had changed. And as the seasons progressed, that awareness began to evolve into something stronger, something more defined. And it became clear that the narrative was slowly shifting away from the familiar pattern into unknown territory. And this shift was not driven by dramatic confrontation, but rather by a quiet transformation, a gradual reclaiming of identity that started from within and extended outward into every aspect of her life. And as that transformation gained momentum, it introduced a new layer of intrigue into the story because it challenged long-held assumptions about stability, loyalty, and the roles each individual played within the family structure. And suddenly, the focus was no longer solely on what was happening between Kody and Meri, but on what was happening within Meri herself, a journey that felt both personal and universal at the same time. And this internal shift began to manifest in visible ways, from the way she spoke, to the choices she made, and even the energy she brought into each scene. And for viewers who had followed her journey from the beginning, this change was both surprising and deeply significant, because it marked a departure from the version of her that had been presented for so long. And as that departure became more apparent, it sparked a wave of discussion, speculation, and analysis, with audiences trying to understand not just what had changed, but why it had taken so long for that change to occur, and what it ultimately meant for the future of the story. And as those questions circulated, another layer of complexity emerged, the idea that perhaps the dynamic had been sustained not by mutual fulfillment, but by habit, by expectation, and by a structure that no longer aligned with the individuals within it. And this realization added a sense of urgency to the narrative, because it suggested that what viewers were witnessing was not just a temporary phase, but a pivotal turning point, a moment where the direction of the story could shift in a way that would redefine everything that came before it. And as this turning point approached, the tension became more pronounced, not through dramatic conflict, but through the quiet weight of unspoken truths that lingered in every interaction and every pause. And it was within this space of tension that the story found its most compelling element, the anticipation of change, the sense that something significant. As the story moved forward, the emotional weight of everything that has unfolded begins to settle into a new kind of reality, one where the past no longer holds the same control, and where the present starts to feel more defined by choice rather than circumstance. And this is where the narrative takes on an entirely different tone, because instead of focusing on what was lost, it begins to highlight what is being built. And that shift creates a powerful sense of momentum that carries the story into uncharted territory, where new connections, new priorities, and new perspectives start to shape the direction in ways that feel both refreshing and deeply significant.
And at the center of this evolving chapter is the growing awareness that change is not just possible, but already happening in real time, as Meri continues to step into a version of herself that feels more aligned with her own sense of purpose and identity. And this transformation is not presented through grand declarations or dramatic moments, but through consistent, subtle changes that reveal a steady progression toward independence and confidence. And as those changes become more visible, they invite a different kind of attention from viewers, one that is less focused on past dynamics and more interested in the future that is beginning to take form. And within that future, the presence of a new connection adds an additional layer of intrigue, because it introduces a dynamic that feels fundamentally different from what has been shown before. A dynamic that appears to be grounded in mutual respect, shared attention, and a sense of balance that contrasts sharply with the complexities of the past. And while details about this new chapter continue to unfold gradually, the impact of its existence is already clear, because it represents a shift in possibility, a reminder that new beginnings can emerge even after long periods of uncertainty, and that those beginnings have the potential to redefine not only individual experiences, but the broader narrative as well. And as this realization takes hold, it naturally leads to a deeper reflection on how the story has evolved over time, from its early foundation to its current state, where the roles once assumed to be fixed are now being re-examined and reshaped in ways that challenge expectations and invite new interpretations. And this process of re-evaluation extends beyond the individuals directly involved, reaching into the audience itself, where long-held perceptions are being reconsidered in light of new developments. And this interplay between past and present creates a dynamic storytelling experience that continues to engage viewers by offering both familiarity and surprise at the same time. And as each new detail is revealed, it adds to the sense that the story is far from over, that there are still many layers left to uncover and many directions it could take. And this uncertainty is what keeps the narrative compelling, because it mirrors the unpredictability of real life, where outcomes are rarely clear and where growth often comes through moments of transition that are not always easy but ultimately necessary. And within this context, the reactions of those connected to the story also become an important part of the overall picture, as they reflect the broader impact of the changes taking place and highlight the different ways individuals respond to transformation, whether through acceptance, reflection, or the challenge of adjusting to a new reality. And these responses add depth to the narrative by showing that change is rarely isolated. It affects everyone involved in different ways, creating a ripple effect that extends beyond the initial moment of transformation and into the ongoing evolution of relationships and perspectives. And as this ripple effect continues to unfold, it reinforces the idea that the story is not defined by a single event, but by a series of interconnected moments that together create a larger picture of growth, resilience, and adaptation. And it is this larger picture that ultimately gives the narrative its lasting impact, because it speaks to themes that resonate beyond the specific details of the situation, offering a broader reflection on what it means to move forward, to redefine oneself, and to embrace the possibilities that come with change. And as the story continues to develop, it remains grounded in this sense of progression, always moving, always evolving, and never settling into a fixed conclusion, because the journey itself is what keeps it alive and engaging. And just when it seems like a new normal has been established, another shift occurs, another perspective is introduced, and the cycle of transformation begins again, ensuring that the audience remains connected, invested, and ready to see where the story will go next. As the story continues to unfold, the emotional landscape becomes even more complex, because what once felt like a fixed narrative is now constantly shifting, evolving, and redefining itself in real time. And this is where the deeper meaning of the entire journey begins to emerge, not as a simple tale of conflict or separation, but as a layered exploration of change, identity, and personal freedom. And at this stage,
the focus naturally moves beyond the past, beyond the memories, and beyond the long-standing dynamics that once shaped every interaction, and instead begins to center on what comes next and what that future represents for everyone involved, especially for someone like Meri, who has transitioned from a role defined by expectation into a space defined by choice and self-direction. And this transition is not sudden or chaotic, but gradual, steady, and deeply intentional, reflecting a process of inner transformation that has been building for years beneath the surface. And now that it is visible, it carries a sense of clarity that changes how the entire story is perceived. And within this clarity, there is a growing recognition that life after separation is not an ending, but a continuation, a different path that opens new possibilities and allows for growth that was previously constrained. And as Meri steps further into this new phase of her life, the contrast between her past and present becomes more pronounced, not in a way that focuses on blame or resentment, but in a way that highlights evolution and the natural progression of personal journeys. And this contrast is what draws attention because it challenges long-held assumptions about identity, relationships, and emotional fulfillment. And it invites viewers to reconsider what stability really means when circumstances change and individuals grow in different directions. And meanwhile, the broader narrative surrounding Kody also begins to shift, because his role within this evolving story is no longer static either. It becomes part of a larger reflection on how people respond when faced with change that they did not initiate and cannot control. And this response is often complicated, shaped by emotion, perception, and the struggle to reconcile past expectations with present reality. And as these parallel journeys unfold, they create a dynamic tension within the story that keeps it engaging and unpredictable, because it is no longer just about one perspective, but about multiple experiences intersecting in ways that reveal deeper truths about relationships and human behavior. And within this intersection, new themes begin to surface. Themes of acceptance, release, and the difficulty of letting go when history is long and deeply intertwined. And as these themes develop, the narrative takes on a more universal quality because it begins to reflect experiences that extend beyond the specific individuals involved and resonate with anyone who has ever had to navigate change in relationships or redefine themselves after a significant transition. And this universality is what gives the story its lasting impact, because it is not simply about events, it is about emotions, choices, and the evolution of identity over time. And as viewers continue to engage with the unfolding developments, they find themselves drawn not just to the drama of the situation, but to the underlying journey of growth that defines it. And this journey is marked by moments of reflection, realization, and gradual acceptance that things cannot remain the same forever, and that change, while often difficult, is also an essential part of moving forward. And within this context, every new development becomes more than just a plot point. It becomes a symbol of progression, a sign that life continues to move forward, regardless of how complex or unexpected the path may be. And as the story reaches new stages of development, and just like that, everything changed. Not with chaos, but with clarity, proving that sometimes moving on is the real victory. And if you want more stories that reveal what really happens behind the scenes, hit subscribe now and stay ahead of every twist and turn.